All right, if you're in the market and buying $1 million house, you got to check out these tips. All right, so let's get right to it. So the first tip, number one, is financing. Now, you might have $1 million in cash or more, and you're going to be a cash buyer. That's great. So the financing information may not be as helpful to you, but information is power, so understanding information. Now, there are certain loan limits, depending on your state, depending on your area. Right here in the Philadelphia area, in the Pennsylvania area, there is a loan limit for conventional loans and FHA loans, and it ranges somewhere between in the high 400,000s to high 500,000. So we'll just call it around 600,000 is where we get into a range of you've reached your limit of loans. Well, wait a minute, what does that mean? Well, we've got jumbo loans. There's a jumbo program, and when you get over a certain threshold in our area, it goes into a jumbo program. Now, it really doesn't mean anything for you. It's not going to hurt you in any way. In fact, sometimes the rates are even more attractive when you're over the certain thresholds of conventional or FHA financing. So jumbo loan products are rampant in our area. There's a ton of them. If you've got great credit, they're going to look at your credit score, they're going to look at your provable income, and they're going to look at your debt to income ratio. So check out any jumbo programs. If you wanted us to resource, we'd certainly be able to refer you to one. Now, you might have a house to sell if you're in that $1 million price point, or maybe you're coming from out of town and you're moving to another area and you have a property you're considering selling. There's another helpful hint. We'll call this tip number two or hint number two. It's called a mortgage recast. So we're going to talk to our lender and make sure, if we are buying using a mortgage company, where we would put minimally down. We purchased a home here in the Philadelphia area, and give me a call if you're doing that, by the way. And once we sell our other property, whether we decide to do it, or maybe it's on the market, or maybe it's part of a reload package, we can recast, or basically they take the equity from the house that you sell, they put it down on the property, put it down, pay down the mortgage all at once, which would then lower your overall mortgage payment. Now, not all lenders, not all mortgages are set up for this recast, but why not at least have it as an option? It's not going to make your payment any worse. It's not going to hurt you in any way. It doesn't cost you any money. It's just a way to, reset or recast your mortgage without having to go through the whole process. They've already got your paperwork as you're trying to move. Why don't we keep one little thing less stressful in your mind going? Now, there are other financing options. There are multiple loan options. You could go up to that threshold before you hit to a jumbo loan, say around that 400, 500, or 600,000. Maybe you have some cash involved, and then you can get a secondary loan. They might do an 80-20 or a 90-10. We would want to talk about all those options. There's also bridge loans, where if you're maybe have a house to sell, or you're kind of in the middle of moving and you need literally a bridge to get here, to get settled in, they can forecast and see what's going to happen in the future as far as you have a house to sell, or maybe you're having one built, or you have the land that what you're buying, getting the land from us, and you're waiting to have the construction made. So there are more than just options than just, well, I reached the threshold, or now I'm above, I'm in a jumbo product. What should I do? Just give us a call, and we'd be glad to talk you through it. All right, so we got the financing out of the way. The next tip here, I guess it'll be maybe tip number 3, but the next one in line here is definitely know that you are being watched, okay? Assume that you're being watched. There's cameras and security systems, and a lot of them are mic'd. I mean, you could hear what you're saying. So while you're touring these properties and luxury properties, they're under surveillance usually, and rightfully so. So you want to have your poker face on, okay? And maybe if you have a great poker face, this is where you got the cash to buy the place, but you want to keep certain comments about, hey, how much you love the place, or let's make them a full price offer, or even negative comments in that you might have to go back and take back. So keep your poker face on while you're touring the properties. Assume you're being watched and assume you're being heard. And in Pennsylvania, we do have to disclose to you that there are surveillance cameras and that you may be being recorded. So as long as we disclose it, then we could do it. Like right now, someone disclosed that I'm being recorded making the video, but all joking aside, assume your comments are going to be heard by the owners. So we wait to have that till we go outside out in the driveway, or further out up the street, or maybe into the cul-de-sac, depending, or maybe on the streets of the city once we get down out of the elevator if we're in the high rise. All right, tip number 4. So in luxury properties, there are always movable items. There are things like pools and security cameras that we just mentioned, and surveillance systems, and we've got home theaters, and we've got stereo systems. We've got other expensive fixtures like appliances, and not just your standard appliances and not just your standard range of appliances. You might have outdoor furniture. You might have outdoor kitchens. You're probably going to have a heater for your pool. So we want to make sure we make a list of all these items to include in our agreements of sale. Now, some of these items may be excluded: pool tables, certain cameras, certain theater equipment, maybe certain movies that are there, whether they're digitally or DVD, whatever it might be. So we want to make sure we have a list of these things included either as an addendum or as part of our agreement of sale. Now, again, the sellers may want to exclude certain window treatments or certain fixtures of lighting fixtures. So it's important to itemize all of that from the beginning and to know where we stand when we are making an offer and what we want to have included. Lawn equipment, as you can see. The sky's the limit, if you will. So some of these could be construed as personal items, and personal items aren't included. It's just best to have it in writing. There's a lot of moving parts for a real estate transaction. We want to have these things listed out. Now, in Pennsylvania, we have a fixture law. So if it's a fixture, if it's fixed, as an example, a fixed appliance would be your range or your microwave. But if there's a microwave that's sitting on the counter, that's not fixed, right? You can remove it. So we want to, instead of nitpicking, we want to make sure we add it in. The Nest systems for our thermostat control, is that a fixture or not? So again, we want to make sure that we address it before it becomes an issue. All right, so I got 2 more hints here for you. The next one is you gotta call me, right? You can shoot me a text, you can give us a call, you can send me an email, certainly. Check out our website. You want to hit us up, get a spot on our calendar. We could do a Zoom call. But lastly, our last tip here would be, let's understand what the local procedure is. Not just the law and not just how we do documentation and so forth, but how are things done? How is it understood? You want to kind of understand the nuance of what is it like to buy a high rise in Philadelphia City versus a beautiful estate home on the main line. There's a certain protocol of how showings are handled and how questions are asked and answered and disclosures are sent. So you want to understand the local nuance of the luxury market, so we're not out there, fumbling over ourselves or offending someone in some way, and to put us in a kind of a negative light or a worse position than maybe had we known what protocol would be. Well, if you are thinking of moving to the Philadelphia area, definitely want to check out our home buying guide and our home selling guide here. Grab yourself a copy. They are free, put together by yours truly, and they are shown down in the notes below. Check out this video here, Living in Philadelphia, What Are the Neighborhoods? Once again, thank you so much for checking out our channel, Living in Philadelphia, and watching this video. We'll look to see you on the next one. Have a great day, everybody.